Coming up next, I'm going to review the latest fragrance from Ramon Monegal, and that is, as you can see, Flamenco Extrait. This is essentially a flanker from the original Flamenco that came out in 2017. Find out what I think about this new fragrance coming up next. Welcome back, everybody, to Joel the Nose. And thank you, as always, excuse me, for watching. And my cat's running around here. It's a little bit crazy. But today, I'm going to be talking about Flamenco Extrait. Just got this recently, a few weeks ago. Been wearing it a lot. Been really kind of living with it, figuring it out, trying to decide what my opinions were. And so finally today, I'm doing a video talking about it. And so Flamenco Extrait, as you know, or maybe not know, is an extrait. Okay, so it's an actual extrait de Perfume. So this is a very high concentration. This just released in the last, month or so from Ramon Monegal, the Spanish niche house. Really good, unique niche house out there that kind of brings a lot of those Spanish sensibilities, creativity, almost like, to me, they're almost like gourmand food, like a lot of the fragrances. But Flamenco, the original, which is also in a red bottle, looks very similar, came out in 2017. So, we're now talking roughly 7 years later. This would be, I guess, essentially considered a flanker, which I've noticed this is a big trend lately in the niche fragrance world, where they're taking original fragrances and they're just tweaking them by making them an extrait version. So the original version is in basically an eau de parfum. So obviously very good strength wise, as far as concentration, but they took this and made this an extrait. So you're bumping up the concentration of the essential oils, of course, the fragrance oils in the material. But the other big difference between this and the original is they've added oud. So the original fragrance, if you look at the notes and you look at the breakdown, there's a lot of similarities. They also kind of changed some of the top notes versus the mid notes. So they kept a lot of the same notes, but they changed them from the original one and the original Flamenco into the new one. They put some from the top into the heart and vice versa. It's pretty interesting. For example, just to read you, if you look at, let me just read these to you because I have them here. If you talk about or look at the original notes, it starts with raspberry, and both those notes, that note is still very prevalent in both fragrances. But in the original one, there's definitely a more fruity element to Flamenco versus Flamenco Extrait. So you have apple, violet, orange blossom, and raspberry at the top in the original. Versus if you look at the Extrait version, you now have raspberry, saffron, and rose. So rose is in the heart notes of the original fragrance. They bumped it up to the top here. And then in the middle notes now you have cedarwood, iris, jasmine, and orange blossom. So they've moved the orange blossom to the middle where it used to be in the top. So you see some juxtaposition here. I like that. What they've done here is kind of played with the, how the fragrance will break down for you on your nose. And by doing that, by bumping up the concentrations and by adding cedar, essentially, they've really created what I think is almost a totally different fragrance. If you smell them side by side, clearly there's a lineage. There is an origin story, as is so popular these days. But I like Flamenco Extrait better for me personally. The original one, I, by the way, do not have in my personal collection, and I already now have this one in my personal collection, the Extrait. That's how much I like it. The oud to me is, by the way, not the real strong, stinky oud, which sometimes Ramon Monegal can be very famous for. For example, I have Soul of Oud, which is one of the really kind of animalic, stinky ouds. There's Alhambra oud, again, very strong. This is not that. The oud here is much more subdued. So if you're not necessarily an oud fan, I do recommend you try this because the oud here really is more of a blending agent. It does give it some character. It gives it, I think, some, helps really enrich some of the notes, especially the notes of the base, like the cedar, the cypress, there's some amber. So really, I think is an excellent addition to the fragrance. And it just comes across, the whole fragrance comes across to me as a little bit more unisex than the original one. I think the original Flamenco, although unisex, leans a little bit more feminine if you want to accept those classifications. This one, because of the oud and because of, I think, the fact that it's a little bit more, by the way, they always have great sprayers, as you know. I love the bottles, but let's just spray it here. It's like a puff. Okay? And by the way, right at the beginning, you can tell there's oud in here versus the original one. The raspberry is definitely toned down. You don't have that apple violet note at the top that gives it a little bit more fruity spiciness. This is now more of a kind of subdued, serious fragrance. The other fragrance, I think, is a lighter, more playful fragrance. The original Flamenco, I think the new Extrait is a little bit more serious. It's a little bit more hardcore. It's a little bit more, I would dare say, dangerous. How those fruity notes interact and play with those more woody and oud notes. Really kind of I think a really nice flanker in addition to the line. I love the red bottle, just to hold it up, as you can see. I love all their bottles, but this one is kind of almost like a translucent red. You can kind of see through it a little bit. And these are, by the way, 75 milliliter bottles. And oof, you know what? It's either 75 or I got to look at that. I think they're 75 milliliter bottles and they're a little over $200 retail. So it's still a very good price. Let me see here. Let me look this up. This is, you know, real time here. Hold on one second. Pick this up. Sometimes you have everything ready to go and sometimes you don't. And I want to, no, 50 milliliters. Okay. 50 milliliters. So the Extrait is, it's going to retail for over $300. I think if you look at the other one, it's in the lower 200s. And you know what? Let's get that for you. Let's actually make sure that I have those numbers correct. All right. And, well, I don't have it for you right now. I take that back. Here we go. So for the original version, it's $240 roughly, you know, okay, and then the new one's about $315. So 50 milliliter bottles, extremely concentrated, excellent perfume. And if you want something that's a little bit more serious, a little bit more unisex, something that's a little bit more, I think, going to be better for nighttime versus the original is better for kind of a daytime fragrance. This is going to be better for nighttime, date night, sensual time, sexy time. That's what this fragrance is for. Again, I've already worn it a bunch, getting some nice compliments from it. It really stands out. It does, on my skin, it projects well. And I get about 8 to 10 hours, kind of depending on the situation, you know, what I'm doing, whether it's super hot out or not. But it is wearable here in Miami. Miami are already in the 90 degrees, which is, you know, super hot. And it's very wearable and it's not too, you know, I guess, smothering. But there you have it. The Flamenco Extrait. And let me know. Let me know. Have you guys tried it? And you have the original. Have you tried both? Let me know your thoughts. If you've tried both and which you like better, get some conversation going. I'll be back soon with another video. Thank you guys as always for watching. And peace, love, and perfume.